Hello, YouTube, and hello, Ninth Age community. This is Charles the Evershade Gaming, and I've got another Ninth Age battle report. This is a game of Empire Sonnstahl versus Infernal Dwarves. I got a few games in with Infernal Dwarves in the last month, and I'm getting around to making battle reports of them. And definitely some interesting games. I'm looking forward to releasing all of them and just showing sort of a range of armies from Infernal Dwarves and different results, that's for sure. So we played Marching Columns and King of the Hill in this game.
He's got an Overlord on a big bull, and then he's got a Prophet, rocking Lugar and Alchemy. He's only an adept. He's on a Kadim Chariot. He's got that extra bound spell that also increases his march. He's got 30 Infernal Warriors with great weapons and the Flaming Standard, full command. Two things of 12 Infernal Warriors with blunderbusses and great weapons. 5 Kadim Incarnates with a champion. 21 Disciples of Lugar with paired weapons and a champion. And then a Lamasu Scholar, an Infernal Engine with a Napa Thrower, and a Kadim Titan. So a lot of big toys that he's bringing to the fight. So I'm playing the same list that I played in my previous battle report. So if you want to take a look at it, it's really just a big block of knights, medium block Imperial Guard, the Inquisitor character on a horse, decent amount of shooting between the crossbows and the handguns, and the battery, the Imperial Rocketeers, the steam tank, and the riders with braced pistols. So shooting, cosmology magic, Knights, Imperial Guard. So this is starting off deployment. I got to start deploying first, so my opponent chose table side. So I started with 5 riders on my left side, and I was going left to right with marching columns. My opponent put 12 of his blunderbuss down. And for the objective, I chose this forest as the terrain piece my opponent needed to get into after he chose a wall on the opposite side of the board. So I kind of thought we would maybe split the objectives rather than just all have everything deployed on one side of the board. So I decided, since my steam tank isn't scoring, it's going to defend the forest. My opponent kind of counters by putting his big block of warriors down, and pretty much all his scoring on this side of the board with his 2 units of blunderbusses and his big thing of 30 warriors with great weapons. I put down my other unit of riders, and at that point I'm able to deploy the rest of my army to go for turn 1, and my opponent is able to then deploy afterwards. So my opponent's not quite done deploying in this picture, but I took a picture of my deployment. So I have, after those riders, I put a rocket battery down. I put my 20 handgunners down. I put my Imperial Guard down with my BSB in there. And then I put my 15 crossbows in front of that building. I have my wizard, to the side of that building on his arcane engine. I have my 13 electoral cavalry with my knight commander on the left corner and my inquisitor on the right corner. And I don't know where my other rocket battery is, but I think it might be to the... It's either in the left corner behind the riders, or it's to the right of these knights. We'll figure out later. So this is my opponent's deployment. So yeah, he kept all his scoring on the one side, and then he put his engine down with his Lamasu hiding behind it, his Lugar guys down in the ruin with his Great Bull behind them, his Kadims in the room too, his 5 Kadim Incarnates with his Lugar Wizard Adept on his Kadim Chariot behind them, and then he put his Kadim Titan off in a similar way that my steam tank is protecting my forest. His Kadim Titan's protecting that fence, which is the objective that I need to get to this game. So, start of Empire Sonnstahl turn 1. My Handgunners really couldn't shoot anything. I kind of knew that going for turn 1 that I wasn't going to hit any targets, but I at the same time still wanted to go first anyway to get that first magic phase, the first shots off with my rocket batteries and everything. So I just put steady min on them because I can, and I put steady min on my Imperial Guard, and I put ready aim fire in the crossbows because they actually can shoot something. So, don't really do a lot of movement. Just make sure that the wizard is in range to cast some spells, and he casts Ice and Fire at the Disciples of Lugar, and he peels a whole bunch of them off. We try Quicksilver Lash, and it gets dispelled. Actually, no, it looks like we did 2 wounds, actually. Oh, nice. That's great. That's very good. And this is a little bit better pick to see of how I did move up. I think the Kadim Titan has maybe a charge, but it's long, and the Disciples have a charge, but again, not the Disciples, the other Kadim Incarnates of the Rune also have a charge, but again, it's quite long. Rock batteries don't do anything turn 1. Steam Tank moved up to sort of shoot, and again, just trying to hold back this forest. I'm holding my riders back because they just can't really do all that much against those blunderbuss guys right away. And this is actually going into Infernal Dwarfs turn 1. So you can see he moved up his warriors. He moved up his engine to shoot. He moved up his bull and just sort of shuffled everything around. He was able to move his Titan to be out of my charge arc, so that helps him out quite a bit. He gets Breath of Corruption off on his Lamasu. And I want to say this is actually an alchemy spell. I'm not sure which one. But lose a couple knights. I think this is the Napa launcher thrower on the Infernal engine shooting and killing 4 Imperial Guard. So not all that bad, honestly. It could have been much worse. And I think this is showing he was trying to shoot at the Steam Tank, but not really able to do a whole lot. And I think he even threw the Breath of Corruption at the Steam Tank too, and also didn't roll any 6s, so I was pretty happy about that. So, Empire Sonnstahl turn 2 again. So now that we are in formation, we can just put out the ready aim fire. We got targets to shoot everywhere, and my wizard's in a good spot to cast magic. I decide just to toss my Inquisitor in front of the Kadim Titan. I'm fearless. I've got divine attacks. I've got silver shots. I've got a 3-up flaming Aegis. I'm honestly not that worried about this guy going into me. Actually, now you can see that rocket battery was to the right of that building. Yeah. So with the rest of my movement, I move my Imperial Guard up just a little bit. I'm maintaining those 8 inches where I can. I think I still just barely have 8 inches to the heavy infantry and to the crossbows, so I can still toss orders everywhere. Trying to be, a little bit aggressive to, hold his center back a bit as much as I can. I've got my knights in a place where they can definitely charge turn 2. On his turn 3, or on my turn 3. And then I move my Steam Tank up, and I get a very good roll to not go into the Imperial Guard, and now I can shoot my cannon at his Lamasu too. So I was very excited about that. And I also make a ploy to try and do what I can against this left unit of blunderbusses with my riders. I lose one running through the forest, but I'm hoping with 18-inch shots that I might be able to kill half the unitors, or even kill 3 or 4 models, and then make him have to choose which one he shoots at or whatever. And yeah, so I was trying to do something there at the very least. I put Truth of Time on his Disciples just because I don't want them necessarily getting into my Knights. I believe I threw another Quicksilver Lash on the engine, and it's up to 5 wounds, which is awesome. And then in the shooting phase, I'm able to use my handgunners, my light infantry with handguns, to do that last wound on the engine, and that thing is gone. So that is just great. I really like that. The shooting is just not good over here. Just bad rolls to hit and wound. I only killed 1 guy, so that is not good. Over here, though, I want to say a rocket battery did 2 wounds, and the silver shots did 1 wound, or vice versa. I can't remember exactly way, but we get 3 wounds on this guy before he gets to even come to combat, which I like. Yeah, there's that rocket battery that I think that rocket battery might have even done 3 wounds. I don't even know. I can't remember. It's either I think the rocket battery might have really really got a good shot off this round. So this is going into Infernal Dwarves turn 2. So he brings his warriors into combat, and he brings the team into the Inquisitor, and he's just he brings up his incarnates to chaff, and then the magic face he just starts plowing into them with alchemy, and I get reduced to just my knight commander and my champion. So going into combat though, look at that. That to me is not if that is the most heroic thing I've ever seen. The Inquisitor smites this Qadim Titan, definitely upholds His Majesty's justice in the land, and now is free to do whatever he wants. And what he wants to do is go take care of those incarnates too, because demons be damned. Am I right, folks? So, Empire Sonnstahl turn 3. I only having 1 more night left, know that they're not really going anywhere. So I decide to put on the double on my knight, and I move him just like 22 inches over, like to just be out of the way. My goal is, since that guy is still scoring, he's going to be the one that I'm going to try and use to get the objective. I was thinking I was going to have to start getting those crossbows to start marching, so that by turn 6 they could be on the objective, but now it's going to be that champion. So the Inquisitor goes into the Incarnates because he's got a taste for demon blood and he wants more. My Knight Commander just joins the Imperial Guard because he's like, he doesn't have a Flaming Aegis, unfortunately. He does have a 5-up Aegis, but he cannot just, he cannot soak up all that alchemy damage on his own. The combat with the steam tank goes okay in the last turn. He does a wound to me. I kill 3 or 4 of him. It's just going to be a long grind. And I did forget to capture last turn that he is able to basically shoot and panic off my riders so that that flank opens up for him, which is unfortunate. So I get another Ice and Fire off on the Lugars to kill 4. I remove the wound that he did to me with Touch of the Heart. And I think this is the crossbows on the Lugars. And then this is the handgunners on those blunderbusses. I think we took out 5 this turn. It was beautiful. I want to say, yes, also the rocket batteries turn up and they kill the llama suit too. So that was just delicious. So I want to say this was just this rocket battery killing the llama suit, which is, you just got to appreciate how crazy rocket batteries can be when they turn up. I'm Team Rocket Battery now, unfortunately. I wasn't for a while, but now I'm coming around to how good they can be. Combat, I do 3 wounds to him. Over here, it just goes beautifully well. We do 7 wounds, and he rolls terrible on his discipline, and they're gone. So that was awesome. This Inquisitor is just my MVP already. Especially now that I've got a couple options of what I want to do next turn too. So I really just make sure I have a front arc to that chariot and to that bull, and to those Lugars too. But I don't think those Lugars would want to go in. The bull tries to get in, but it fails the charge on Infernal Dwarfs turn 3. And this is what we're looking like. So my opponent moves his chariot on the other side of that rune, which I actually am pretty sure he marched, and I forgot to make him take DT tests, because normally chariots don't march, but this one can march 12 inches, which is pretty cool because it's got that bounce spell. And really just he brings another unit of the blunderbusses into the flank of the steam tank. They also have great weapons, so I mean he's just trying to do as much as he can to get rid of that steam tank. He throws a molten copper. He gets a wound on my knight commander, and then he does like 2 or 3 wounds to the unit. I'd start just going for the unit on the side because I want him to have as few scoring units as possible. But again, it just takes forever to grind through these guys. And yeah, this is what it's looking like. So at this point, I was feeling like I needed to do something to help out the steam tank. So I march my Imperial Guard unit so that I'm out of the line of sight of the bull and that I'm sort of heading in that direction. This is Empire Sonnstahl turn 4. I wasn't quite sure if I loved that, but that's what I ended up doing. Mostly because I was feeling like the Disciples of Lugar weren't a threat. If the bull can't see me, I can just put my shooting into it this turn. I was able to. I was debating about charging with the Inquisitor, and I kind of just felt like it was much safer just to shoot him with the silver shots and with the rocket batteries. So that's what I decided to do. And my handgunners are gonna pick on the blunderbusses on the hill, and my crossbows are gonna pick on the Disciples of Lugar. So we toss an ice and fire, and we get rid of 2 of these blunderbusses. I get altered sight on the light infantry with handguns. Double picture there. And then we're able to get rid of the rest of the blunderbusses, so that's great. That's 1 scoring unit they don't have to deal with. Side picture right there. We get 1 wound on the bull with the silver shots. This rocket battery takes a wound, shooting at the bull 2. And then we get rid of all but 1 of these blunderbusses in the side, unfortunately. So I still have to figure out a way to get rid of that 1 guy. And then my opponent sort of just kind of pushes hard on my center. So his bull, I think, only has like a wound on him right now. So he's kind of hoping just to survive this volley. He moves up his last 4 Disciples of Lugar. He moves up his chariot, also to just kind of threaten everything. And yeah, the steam tank's kind of holding it down over there. It's got 4 wounds on it, I think, right now. He's kind of alternating, getting like the flaming synergy going. He's got his flame banner activated. Every now and then he gets the rerolls to wound, which hurt. But I mean, the thankfully thing is he's only wounding on 5s, and he's only AP2 most of the time. So I'm making most of my saves. So not really much went on as far as the rest of my opponent's turn. I mean, he just got a little bit of magic off, I want to say, probably to help out that steam tank combat. I put Steady Man on my Imperial Guard right here. Yep, you can see he got alchemical fire off. I finish off this 1 guy. I ice and fire these guys. I get altered sight off again on my handgunners. I tried to get perception and strength off on these guys, but I couldn't get it off. And we take down the bull between, I want to say, the rocket batteries, the silver shots, and the handgunners. Pretty much all working together to put those final wounds on. I know the handgunners did 2 wounds. I want to say silver shots did a wound or 2, and a rocket battery did a wound or 2. But it was a beautiful combo, folks. But unfortunately, at the same time that the bull dies, the steam tank gives its last steaming gasp and also falls over. And this is pretty much where the game ends up. On my opponent's last turn, he's able to basically get into my forest that I was defending against. And on my last turn, I just put all my effort into killing trying to kill the Kadim Chariot Wizard Adept. I put my silver shots into it. I put my crossbows into it. I put my rock batteries into it. We can only get 1 wound in ice and fire. And then on my opponent's last turn, he's able to charge the champion of the Knightly Orders, Electoral Cav, and he kills him. And this is where the game ends, everybody. So, yeah, definitely a really fun game. Very brutal on the Infernal Dwarves, but also not too bad of a score, really. So this game ends up being a 14-6 for Empire Sonnstahl victory, but with the Infernal Dwarves objective win. So because I wasn't able to get anything on that fence, My opponent was able to soften the blow at the very least. Am I right? I mean, if I lost a game, that intensely, which sounds like a slight, but I mean that's serious. He had 2 units on the board, and I had 75% of my army left, and I still got a 14-6 at a tournament. I would be super pleased. I mean, I think if anything, that showed how good his deployment was, and I think how much mine could have been improved at the very least. But I also made quite a bit of a gambit because my opponent picked his fence first, and then I picked the forest next. Because I could have picked that hill on my side of the deployment, but then I'm like, we're going to literally be on one half of the board. We're going to be so tight. I think it helps when you spread out Infernal Dwarfs, actually, because if they're all coming at you all together, I think that's tougher, especially as an Emperor Sonnstahl player. Really fun game, though. I had a great time playing this one. Thank you for everyone for watching and listening, and I'm going to have another Ninth Age Battle Report coming at you soon. Thanks.